This is another year and another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has suffered yet another hard foul, and the referees failed to make a call. Caitlin Clark still getting assaulted with no fouls called.
It was supposed to be just another preseason showdown, but what happened to Caitlin Clark on the court sent shockwaves across the league.
Why is that? New year, Caitlin Clark still getting assaulted though, bruh. Why is we back here? That's what I'm not getting, bro. We're back with the same situation again, bro, over and over and over again. One fan stated she has yet to shoot a single free throw. Yes, bro, I bet y'all didn't even know that.
She was shoved, hacked, and slammed without mercy. And the refs? Silent. No whistles, no protection, no justice. But instead of backing down, Caitlin Clark turned that chaos into fire.
And here are some of the highlights, like this lob pass Caitlin Clark makes to DB for the bucket, and then this really nice three-pointer that she sank. And the Indiana Fever come away with a dub, 81-76.
She took the hits, shook them off, and dropped a performance so ruthless that Atlanta's defense collapsed, and Indiana crushed the dream in front of a roaring crowd. But this wasn't just a game, it was a warning. And now the league, the officials, and every team in the WNBA has been put on notice.
So this is what happened. Somebody said, New Year, Caitlin Clark still getting assaulted with no fouls called. Watch this play, guys.
It's like a flash of light that we saw from the jersey is she's doing one for Kimbrough. Was talking to the official about
no call whatsoever. No call whatsoever. But they will call Caitlin Clark getting a technical. They will call Caitlin Clark getting a technical foul, bro.
Rough her up all you want. Caitlin Clark is still coming for you. From the opening tip, it was clear the Atlanta Dream had one strategy: get physical with Caitlin Clark. Every possession was met with contact. Every drive ended with a bump, a shoulder, or a shove. But the refs, they swallowed the whistle.
Stated Caitlin Clark is known to be a competitive and fiery player, frequently talking to the referees or hitting the stanchion out of frustrations when calls don't go her way. In some cases, including Saturday, that leads to a technical foul.
Time after time, Clark was knocked to the floor, grabbed at mid-drive, shoved on screens, and the officials just let it ride. Fans in the arena erupted in frustration. Even commentators were stunned, questioning how a player who's clearly being targeted could get zero calls.
Caitlin Clark did come away with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, which she was in for 23 minutes. This is potentially flirting with a triple-double here. Her defense was okay in the first half. She came back a little later with a little bit of better defense.
But here's the twist. Caitlin didn't flinch. She didn't argue. She didn't throw her hands up. She responded. And the way she answered? With buckets. Cold-blooded buckets. Deep threes. Off-balance floaters. Laser-sharp assists. Everything Atlanta threw at her, she turned into fuel.
How easily she's getting off the three-point looks and shooting them. And from where they're coming from when she does indeed hit them. You know, just comes off and cash. It's easy money.
By the end of the first half, she had already racked up double-digit points and multiple assists, dismantling Atlanta's game plan with pure composure.
She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine. Because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a look at her wrist. How easily it looks like she's shooting those threes and hitting those threes in the clip that she's doing it, you know, going to the rack, all these various things that show she's even stronger than she was a year ago. And you see it in the strong numbers. I mean, 13 points, 6 boards, 7 assists in 23 minutes of action.
The Dream's defenders tried to frustrate her, body her, chirp in her ear, drag her off her rhythm. But instead, Clark raised her level. She started reading the defense like a veteran, anticipating traps, calling audibles on the fly, and leading the Fever like she'd been in the league for years.
The Indiana Star released an article like 5 minutes ago at the conclusion of the game about this technical foul situation and about the WNBA referees, bro. Let's head on over right now to check it out. It stated Indiana Fever star Kayla Clark picks up technical foul in preseason final against the Atlanta Dream. And what's crazy is that y'all will call a technical foul on her, but won't call her actually getting fouled. Like, what is going on here, bro?
And when she wasn't scoring, she was making everyone around her better. Kelsey Mitchell fed off her energy and went lights out from beyond the arc. Aaliyah Boston dominated the paint, while Clark kept feeding her clean, uncontested looks. It was basketball warfare, and Clark turned into the commander.
Indiana Fever were doing a lot of like testing out of rotations. They had Sophie Cunningham start, which, by the way, I have been saying like she could work her way into that starting position, and they tested it out. It's still kind of surprising because they did start her over DeWanna Bonner, and that was the only thing that did give me pause about potentially starting Sophie Cunningham, because she would be taking over DeWanna Bonner's position. And DeWanna Bonner is pretty elite. You know, she's a vet. She is a sniper when she gets going, and she is pesky on defense.
Every hard foul they let go only made her more locked in. Every no call turned into another dagger from deep. The Atlanta Dream didn't just fail to stop her. They lit a fire under the league's most dangerous rookie, and Caitlin made sure they paid for it on the scoreboard.
Caitlin Clark did promise Coach Stephanie White that she would only get 2 techs for the season, and she has already received her first before the season started. No, this does not count towards the season technical fouls, but if she is promising Steph White 2 techs for the season and has already received her second tech in her second game, I wouldn't bet on her only getting 2 techs. But you know, it is Caitlin Clark, and whatever she puts her mind to, she can usually accomplish.
As the second half began, it became crystal clear. Caitlin Clark wasn't just playing basketball anymore. She was making a statement. The physical abuse she endured in the first half was just the beginning. On one play, she drove to the rim, absorbed a shoulder to the chest midair, crashed to the floor, and again, nothing. No whistle, no foul.
But y'all won't call this. Y'all will call that. But y'all won't call this. Y'all see the confusion here? Do y'all not see the confusion? Because there's confusion here. Y'all will call that. Y'all, let's go down and read some of these replies, bro. Because this is just ridiculous, man. This whole thing with these referees, I thought they went in a lab, they hired new referees. We wasn't going to have this situation this year.
Just silence from the officials and smirks from Atlanta's bench. But if they thought they were getting into her head, they didn't know who they were dealing with.
And there was an interesting moment between Aaliyah Boston and Naz Hillman that people were not sure about what happened. It looked like Naz Hillman just went up and started checking AB, like she was acting like a puppy, like not doing anything. And it actually ended up that it was they were just playing around. Aaliyah Boston made a post clarifying to everybody, because, you know, everybody goes to bat for Aaliyah Boston. You don't mess with our center. And while it did look kind of aggressive, this was them just kind of playing around.
Clark popped back up without complaint. No theatrics, no retaliation. She just grabbed the inbound pass and proceeded to torch Atlanta's defense. Possession after possession, she controlled the game like a conductor with an orchestra. She buried a 3 from 5 feet behind the arc. Crowd erupted. Next trip down, she split a double team and dished a no-look dime to Aaliyah Boston for an easy 2.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
And she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person, and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
Then another 3. Then a baseline cut, catch and shoot. Every possession was a clinic, and suddenly Atlanta couldn't keep up. And while Caitlin Clark was shining, the Fever as a unit locked in. The tempo sped up. The spacing was perfect. Ball movement became fluid. Nalissa Smith started attacking mismatches. Kelsey Mitchell was draining spot-up jumpers.
Stephanie White, at the beginning of the year, stated in a press conference that Caitlin Clark said that she was going to be looking around, maybe picking up 3 technical fouls. I got a hard time believing that. Judging off the referee situation, man, we're back at square one again, guys. We're back here again, bro, with these damn referees not calling nothing, bro.
Even the Fever's bench came alive, feeding off the energy their star rookie created. The scoreboard reflected the storm. Indiana surged ahead, blowing open what had once been a tight, grinded-out game. Atlanta looked shell-shocked, scrambling defensively and falling apart under pressure. What was more telling, though, was the crowd. The atmosphere shifted from frustration to fire. Fans who had been booing missed calls earlier were now on their feet, chanting Caitlin's name, roaring after every basket.
She is highly likable. I think that lends itself to her popularity is she comes across as somebody that's really just respectful, likable. There's other players out there that just don't come across that way.
She wasn't just playing through the contact, she was owning it, and the league was watching. Tweets from other players and analysts started pouring in. Let her play, but protect the stars. This is why she's box office. She's different. And still, no protection from the refs. At one point, she got hit on a drive and fell to the floor hard. Cameras caught her getting up, shaking her head with a smirk. It was the kind of moment that shows you exactly who's in control. Not the defense, not the refs, Caitlin Clark. The rest of the game became a formality.
She's an incredibly hard worker. She's a high IQ player. She's a perfectionist. Like, she wants to get better. She lives in the gym. And so you knew that growth was going to take place, and having the opportunity to watch her on a daily basis and how she approaches the work. Like, there are work ethics and there are work styles, right? And a work style of not wasting reps, of not wasting time, of being very intentional about a growth process.
Indiana was rolling, the dream had no answers, and Clark just kept piling it on. Whether it was a fast break pull-up three, a lob to the post, or a stop-and-go crossover that sent her defenders sliding, she wasn't just outplaying the dream, she was embarrassing them. And doing it all without flinching, without complaining, and without any help from the officials. This wasn't just a highlight reel, it was a warning to the entire WNBA. You can try to rough her up, you can ignore the fouls, you can pretend she's just another rookie, but Caitlin Clark is going to make you pay, every single time. By the fourth quarter, the game wasn't about score anymore, it was about dominance. Indiana was in full control, and Caitlin Clark, she was still going, still playing like she had something to prove.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. I'm so happy. I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Every time Atlanta tried to close the gap, Clark slammed the door shut. A logo three here, a step back jumper there, a full court assist that turned the arena into chaos. But this wasn't just individual brilliance. It was a complete dismantling of Atlanta's will to compete. The dream had no answers left. Their physicality faded into frustration. Their bench looked stunned. Their rotations were late. Their help defense was broken, and their effort looked deflated.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Meanwhile, Clark kept attacking with the same intensity she opened the game with, like she hadn't taken a single hit all night. But fans knew the truth. She had taken every hit. She had carried the weight of silence from the officials and turned it into fuel. And what made it more powerful? The way she lifted her team with her. Aaliyah Boston started owning the paint. Nalissa Smith was punishing mismatches off the dribble. The Fever bench was electric, standing after every play, hyping their star, feeding off the energy Clark was generating with every trip down the floor.
I love the WNBA refs. And this is in all the games. They will call phantom fouls and ignore hacks. There will be phantom fouls called, and then a player will be going in for a layup and just make no attempt on playing the ball, and just play this part of the arm, and the refs will say all ball. But it is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger. It's very clear that she is rusty. She is very, very rusty. And it's also, we are seeing teams throw multiple different coverages at her in preseason.
It wasn't just basketball, it was personal. A response to the treatment she received. A message that said, I don't need your whistle, I've got the game. Across social media, the story was already exploding. Caitlin Clark getting mugged with no calls and still cooking the dream. This is Jordan-level energy. Protect this woman at all costs. And it wasn't just fans talking. WNBA legends were weighing in. Coaches, players, analysts, all stunned at how Clark could stay composed, focused, and clutch under pressure that would have cracked most rookies.
They will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Everybody now has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a seat.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing. We can't assign it.
There have always been the dominant teams. There is UConn. There is South Carolina. I think that the fact that Caitlin Clark started on a team that did not have mind-blowing talent existing and brought that team to a championship really says something about you as a player. And when you are ranking players, you are ranking them as an individual unit rather than a team.
Caitlin Clark is becoming the best player in the entire WNBA, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact. She's been the driving force of the hottest team in the entire league, despite her record turnovers. Why? Because she's that good. She's legit good. She's colorblind good. She's guilt-free good. She's apolitically good.
By the end of the game, the Fever had demolished the Atlanta Dream, not just on the scoreboard, but mentally. Clark finished with a stat line that would make headlines anywhere. Points, assists, steals, leadership, control. But it wasn't the numbers that told the full story. It was her presence, the way she handled herself, the way she turned every no call into a highlight, the way she walked off the court knowing she had just shifted the league dynamic without ever raising her voice or asking for sympathy. And maybe that's what scares the league the most.
For whatever reason, they decide to get themselves involved, whether it is actually malintent or maybe they just want to get themselves in the headline. A lot of players got the spotlight this season because of Caitlin Clark, not to mention just overall Caitlin Clark brought millions, literally, more eyeballs to the league this season.
Pretty exciting. One of the big reasons fans flock to State Farm Arena is, of course, the Caitlin Clark effect.
The best player in America, the best shooter in America.
Watch her play. She plays at a high level.
She's going to break records nonstop for the next couple years.
She's the only one capable of taking nothing and making it something. The WNBA was nothing before Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark doesn't need protection to dominate. She doesn't need calls to win. Give her pressure, give her contact, give her chaos, and she'll still torch you. They hit her, hacked her, and ignored every whistle. But Caitlin Clark didn't just survive it. She owned it. No complaints, no drama, just buckets and domination. She didn't beg for the refs. She let her game speak louder than the silence. And in the end, she didn't just defeat the Atlanta Dream, she dismantled them. Play by play, possession by possession, she turned disrespect into fuel and dropped a performance that silenced every critic. If this is how she responds to being targeted, the rest of the league better be scared. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just tough, she's unshakable. And she's only getting started.
What y'all want to call this? Y'all will call that. What y'all want to call this? Y'all see the confusion here? Do y'all not see the confusion? Because there's confusion here. Y'all will call that. Y'all, let's go down and read some of these replies, bro. Because this is just ridiculous, man. This whole thing with these referees, I thought they went in a lab, they hired new referees. We wasn't going to have this situation this year.
And here are some of the highlights, like this lob pass Caitlin Clark makes to DB for the bucket, and then this really nice three-pointer that she sank. And the Indiana Fever come away with a dub, 81-76.